Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're giving you our final pre-draft fantasy football wide receiver rankings. We will show you how to win your league by winning your draft. Let's start this fantasy football podcast right meow.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Fantasy Football Upside. I am Justin, that is Kyle. Thanks for dropping by our Fantasy Football Podcast and YouTube channel. We appreciate it. If you're watching this, that means most likely your draft hasn't happened yet. So you still have time.
Yeah.
You still have time. Now, if you are in a league that drafts before all the preseason games have been played, either get the heck out of that league or write a nice letter to the commish.
Yeah.
So, I mean, J.K. Dobbins, Travis Etienne, anyone? I mean, come on. Don't draft until after the preseason games are over. But Monday and Tuesday of this week,
and
we
don't
hit you with
like
our
teams. Don't like teams with idiot coaches like that. Yeah.
No. And just how he came out with, I don't know if you saw that with John Harbaugh, what he said about Sammy Watkins. He just wasn't quite ready to play yet. But we're going to throw out.
They wanted to be extra cautious and not put him out there and get him hurt. Oh my God.
Jesus. What an idiot.
Yeah.
But Monday and Tuesday, we hit you with our final pre-draft running back rankings. Definitely check those out in the description below and where Kyle's going to point.
Over here.
So that means today we are going to start our final pre-draft rankings for wide receivers. And more specifically, we're going to get into our wide receiver 3. So 36 through 25. Kyle, what you got before we get going?
Hey guys, we're going to be here all season, so make sure that you're hitting that subscribe button down below as well as the like button. That helps out. You can also drop a comment if you need some help. Just throw your hand up and say, hey.
Little help.
Yeah.
Little help now.
There you go.
Little help now.
Little help now. So make sure you do that. Like I said, we're going to do 5 episodes a week. Plus, we are trying to get it organized right now to do pregame, Sunday pregame show so that we can talk through the weather and injuries and all that fun stuff. Start sit questions last minute, mess up your lineup moves and that sort of stuff. So it should be a lot of fun.
Tinker with us. Yeah, come tinker with us.
Come tinker with us. Hopefully you're, willing to follow along for the ride. All right, guys, let's dive in headfirst in the shallow end, start talking about some wide receiver rankings. Justin, we got up first.
Number 36, we have Laviska Shenault Jr., ADP 11. Oh, wait, the 11th pick in the 9th round. Sorry, can't read good. Wide receiver 41 off the board. Now, Laviska is a guy that I was actually worried about his fantasy outlook after the Jags drafted Travis Etienne, because I thought maybe they were going to be used very similar on how they get them the ball. But with Travis Etienne going down, sadly, I feel like that's not going to be the issue that I have going forward with Laviska. So it's another one of those things where, you hear what they're talking about in camps. He has been labeled as the best player in Jags camp and throughout the entire team. And at times last year, he didn't display that on the field. So I actually do believe that kind of talk. Now, when it comes to other wide receivers, you got DJ Chark and free agent pickup Marvin Jones. But guess what? Both of those are already banged up going into the season. DJ Chark with a broken finger, and then Marvin Jones, he has a shoulder issue already. So those two things are going to lead to a huge target share, in my opinion, for Laviska Shenault. They're going to try to get him tons of targets and usage in this offense. He's one of those guys where you can just toss him a screen or just right down the middle of the field. He is a rack monster. So definitely pick up this guy. He's a great flex play or wide receiver 3 with a bunch of upside. I'm going to try to get as many shares of Laviska Shenault that I can this year because he's just another one of those players I just love to watch play, man. Yeah, I'm a sucker for those rack players, man.
Yeah. That was
a run after catch, everybody.
Yeah, I don't need to sell guns. I just love to sell guns. Right? Yeah. Was that? Who has that? It was a guy out of Indianapolis.
Bob's
right?
Guns.
Bob's Guns. Yeah. Something.
Yeah. Something like that.
I don't need to sell them. I just love to sell guns. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Speaking of guns, I guess, I don't know, Texas, right? Yeah. That's who we got up next. One of those guys, right? Michael Gallup. He's going to 11th pick of the 10th round, 48th wide receiver off of the board. We've got him at 35th. So in our book, he's a heck of a savings. He's working out of the slot a lot more this season is what it appears that he's going to end up doing. And last year he was still a wide receiver 3, despite the fact that both CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper were both top 15 wide receivers, guys. So that's not exactly surprising to me. It is a Mike McCarthy offense. And so he's always been able to manage having 3 successful wide receivers. I think that he's probably going to be best in the end this year as a flex play option. I think that he could be a little bit boom or bust. And that's fine if it's in your flex. It's not a spot that's going to break you if he has that bust. But if he has that boom, he could win you your week, right? So I think that's not that bad. And actually at this current price right now, I think he's a steal. I think he's a great steal because I think he is going to end up somewhere in the back end of the wide receiver 3 territory in the end. I don't have much hope for him being higher than that unless one of the other 2 wide receivers ends up going down with an injury for some period of time. So,
well, you said where did he finish last year?
He was wide receiver. He was still a wide receiver 3. I don't remember exactly where he finished. It was somewhere like 34, 35.
And who did they have a quarterback?
Yeah,
they had
for most of the year it was Dalton. So,
yeah. So it's like one of those things where you get a healthy Dak. I mean, he can carry 3 good wide receivers, but like you said, it might be a little boomer bust. I get that.
Yeah.
But I always like Michael Gallup.
Yeah, I like Michael Gallup. I think he's really good.
It's a contract year as well, so
it's possible, yeah. And so
a little extra motivation.
Yep. All right, so what you got here? Wide receiver 34.
Well, you were just talking about a steal with Michael Gallup. I think this is another huge steal, and that's Corey Davis, 12th pick in the 9th round, wide receiver 42 off the board. That is a steal because, I mean, this is the unquestioned receiving option in an offense that will no longer be Adam Gase. So that is very appealing to me, getting the number 1 wide receiver in an offense that no longer has Adam Gase there. Thank you for that, Kyle. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Rookie quarterback Zach Wilson, I've liked what I've seen so far. He's shown in practice, at least that's what everybody said, and he showed in the preseason that he is going to lock in and throw to Corey Davis often. So there is a rookie, Elijah Moore, that is also really good, and a lot of talk coming out of the training camp and everything like that. He is a little injured going into the season, but I think he is going to be a player in fantasy football down the road, but he kind of lives in that slot. So I think that should actually open up even more for Corey Davis on the outside. So I'm not too worried about him taking some of those major targets away. Corey Davis was wide receiver 29 last year, and he was the second option in a run-heavy offense last year. Now he's the wide receiver 1 in a run-heavy offense. So once again, I think this is just an absolute steal at his current ADP of wide receiver 42. I am looking forward to, once again, getting a lot of shares of this guy as well.
Yeah.
So
I think it's interesting. Davis, people are just kind of forgetting about this guy. He broke out last year, like big time.
He did.
So no, I don't get it. I don't know that they're going to be so run heavy this year. I mean, I don't
think so either. But I mean, they're going to run be a little bit more.
Right? Tevin Coleman's their lead back coming for the
Michael Carter.
Yeah.
One of the P Ryans is there.
Yeah.
You're not streaming some huge upside type of running backs. No.
And he's the undisputed wide receiver 1 on that team. So So there you go. All right. There you go. Wide receiver 33. I got Will Fuller, the 5th. He's the second pick of the 10th round, 44th wide receiver off the board. This is like the high value territory for us, right, guys? Lots of savings going on here. So we've got him at 33rd. He's going off at 44th. Feel free to pick him around 44th, and you feel like you're getting a guy who's a wide receiver 3 potentially. He's likely to miss the first week of the season. So that's a complication. But here's a big question, right? Is Miami actually going to make a run at Deshaun Watson? If they do, then they're going to pay a sky high price, but obviously he knows Will Fuller. He knows what he's capable of. And I think that might be enough to elevate him in target share over Devontae Parker. So right now, Watson's price is pretty sky high, but it could come down as they get closer to the first snap of for Houston approaching, right? So with Watson, I think that Fuller would be a high value target in an offense that has a couple already. So there is some trepidation there, right? Devontae Parker is likely to remain the target leader in my mind for the time being. But Fuller should get a good share. And I think at his current ADP, you're getting the right price to kind of use him merely as a flex, but you get the upside that if Watson does get traded, that you've got a guy who might be the wide receiver one in that offense, and it's going to be a little bit more willing to try to air it out often. It's not going to be right away, but if he's going to miss the first week, let's say they do bring Watson in before the first week, well, it doesn't really matter, right? Watson will get up to speed quickly enough that by the time that Fuller is out there, he's able to start catching the ball. So I think that's, it's kind of threading the needle a little bit, but I think that Will Fuller has a good chance here, regardless of whether Watson is the guy or not there. I think that he still has a good chance of being a guy who's getting a decent amount of volume in an offense that should be pretty good, actually, I think.
I think so, too. I do like this offense, which is kind of rare. It's been a while since we said that we like Miami Dolphin offense.
Yeah, but we even commented on it last year. We did not think that Tua was very accurate. I mean, in the games that I watched, he was missing throws that he shouldn't be missing at an NFL level.
I'm curious to see what he's going to look like, though. I mean, he's
if they're
got a
talking
full
about
year,
wanting
full
Deshaun
year,
Watson, I can't.
Yeah, well,
believe
Deshaun
that's
Watson,
that
though. I mean, I get it that Tua was a top 5 pick in the draft, and Deshaun Watson.
So was Josh Rosen, right? Or is he 10th or something?
Top 10. He was 10th. But but there is a difference between Deshaun Watson and Tua. I mean, it's kind of
if they're considering Deshaun Watson, why didn't they do what some people had suggested with the second pick, which was use it on a quarterback? I mean, that's what the talk was, is that they were going to use it on a quarterback potentially and try to trade Tua away. That they realized that they'd made a mistake drafting Tua.
Well, you almost would have had to trade him before the draft to try to get some value, because then if you trade him after the pick, then there's just no.
But that's what the talk. There was that rumor that they were going to do that.
Yeah.
So maybe they exploded and it just didn't work out. I don't know. Maybe they.
It does sound like Houston just asking for a marmalade. That's probably because Bill O'Brien traded away all their damn picks.
Yeah, they're asking for like 3 first-round picks and a couple 2 second rounds. It's like, how do you think that you're going to get that for Watson? I mean, I get it. He could be a franchise quarterback, but he could also be a franchise prisoner, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he is under criminal charges, so it doesn't make any sense.
But going back to Will Fuller, I do like him. The athleticism and just him as a football player has never been the one in question. It's more just him being on the field. That's what you just need to have.
Yeah.
And if he's on the field, then
the athleticism is also tied to some performance enhancing drugs, but he's missed considerable time for that.
He's serving his time, okay, Kyle?
Yeah. All right, here we go. Wide receiver 32, Justin.
We have Jamar Chase. He is going a 6th pick in the 6th round. Wide receiver 24 off the board. So we think he's kind of overvalued right now based off our ranking of 32. So I look back to last year, and a rookie last year was T. Higgins. He did start slow last year as well. Granted, it only took him a couple games to get up and running with Joe Burrow. It may take Chase just a little bit longer, in my opinion. I think Chase is probably the more athletic gifted, but we can't forget the fact that Jamar Chase missed all of 2020. He opted out. So not only are you a rookie wide receiver, usually rookie wide receivers don't make the kind of impact that they have recently, but you have the fact that you haven't played in over a year. It's been like 18 months since you played a game, a real game. So Jamar he is too talented to continue to struggle as much as he has in the preseason with the dropsies. I think he's going to get it figured out, but this is a huge pass heavy offense. Burrow was on pace for about 650 passes last year, which would be up there, probably top 5 in the number of pass attempts. So it's one of those things where I think they're going to continue to do that. And then you also look at the fact that the Bengals brass, the people making all the decisions, they're going to want to get Chase involved as much as possible to justify the fact that they passed on a potential all-pro offensive tackle at 5. They're going to want to get Jamar Chase the ball to be like, see, guys, fan base, we knew what we were doing. We don't need to protect Joe Burrow. No, we need another weapon. But it's one of those things where I'm not, harping on the guy, Jamar Chase. I think he is very talented. I say he figures it out after a few weeks and brings you maybe some wide receiver 2 value for the final 2/3 of the season. So you're going to have to stick with him on your bench, hopefully, for the first few weeks and see what happens. And, for me personally, I'm only drafting him if he falls in multiple rounds and he's more in line with our ranking, not his current ADP.
Yeah.
And I think you and I are both on the kind of the same page where I still had him in the high 20s. I think you had him, high 30s, low 40s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not touching that until 8th round. Just not doing it. No.
I think
I think people are
rounds past this ADP right now. That's fine with me.
Yeah, I think people are overestimating it's recency bias. I think they're overestimating the value of a rookie wide receiver. It's just not really all that good.
What has happened lately does not usually happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's
the AJ Browns,
it's like everybody thinking that
Justin.
Yeah, it's like everybody thinking that drafting or that Travis Kelce is the norm now suddenly. Like that. Right. Oh, if Waller blows up, he's going to be putting up Kelce numbers, and it's like, no, he's not. If he blows up, he's going to be doing what he's been doing. Like that's what he's going to do.
I think that's harkened back to a comment that we've had.
No, I'm just saying in general that people have decided that 200 plus points in a standard scoring league out of the tight end one is just standard. That's just normal. That's what the tight end one's going to do every season. Nope. Saying no. Look at Travis Kelce 2 years ago. He didn't get near that, not even close. No. So, and he was still tight end one. Like people just are overdoing it. Yep. All right, here we go. Wide receiver 31 for us. Gosh, I hit the wrong button. Oops. There we go. It's Deebo. That's right. I've got something for that. Deebo! He's going fourth pick, 8th round, 36th wide receiver off the board. For us, he's actually the 31st. I think people are discounting him a little bit too much. I think they're counting on Ayuk to take a lot more of the targeting opportunities away from Deebo. Deebo has just, his trouble's been he's not been able to stay healthy, right? He's a great receiver in an offense that treats him like a running back who takes handoffs that are 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, basically. And Samuel is almost entirely dependent on yards after the catch for all of his success, which is just that's just monumental when you consider what he has accomplished actually, and how successful he's managed to be so far. I think that's amazing. However, this is not a good thing, right? Because any drop that he gets in yards after the catch is just going to be devastating. So even at a wide receiver 3, I'm concerned that he is overpriced. And that for us, he's probably slightly overpriced, and I would push him back a little bit. I need to see some changes in the offense probably to justify it. I would only consider taking him or paying the price of a flex player. Really, like if I have to take him as a wide receiver 3, then I'm passing. I'm moving on to somebody else. I want to see him as my wide receiver 4, first guy going onto my bench. And even then, probably the way I construct a roster, he'll be gone by the time I'm taking a wide receiver 4. So it's just not a guy I've ever had on my team, and it's not for lack of interest. It's just the price is wrong on it. It doesn't make sense to spend the draft capital necessary to get him. I feel like that offense, for some reason, a little bit overpriced on a lot of the pieces. And you look at the QB and you're like, why? Yeah. So, I mean, there's been talk that Garoppolo will get cut like Cam.
Yeah, there could be. Yeah. I mean, they might roll with Trey Lance. I mean, he's looked okay. He's had a lot of issues here. There is a rookie.
I mean, Mac Jones has had some issues. So,
well, Trey Lance didn't really play much last year either. As another one of those opt-outs. But when it comes to Deebo, I've always liked Deebo, but the ability he needs to work on this year is availability.
Yep.
So you hit it when it comes to him getting on the field. So
All right. Wide receiver 30.
Wide receiver 30 is Chase Claypool, 9th pick in the 6th round, wide receiver 25 off the board. So it's another person that we think is a little overvalued. And it's not because he's not super talented, because he is, but he's got a lot of big boom or bust factor. 17.7% of his catches, Kyle, went for touchdowns. That is bound to regress, people. That is a stupid number. So I would say his ceiling is higher than the other 2 wide receivers on the roster, Deontay Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster, just because of his considerable big play ability. But you also got to look at who's the quarterback. If Big Ben is healthier, like he is saying, the coaching staff is saying, and with Chase's big play ability, it would not surprise me if Chase leads the team in fantasy points by the end of the year. But if you're looking for a guy that's going to be weekly consistent, then you got to look at Deontay. He's going to be the better bet on this team. I just think Chase is going to get you 20 to 30 points in a game, and then he's going to turn around and get you 4 or 5. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to be a lot of big boomer bust. He is a player that I'm not really going to be going out there to really target. I'm not going to go up and get him kind of thing. I'm not really targeting for an every week wide receiver 3. I would love to have him as potential flex or a guy that could be a great trade chip. Let's say he has a big couple weeks. Go ahead and sell high get you another running back or something like that to put in the flex. That would be a much better consistency for you. That's what I think on Chase, man. What do you think on
him? I think you're right. Deontay Johnson's the better wide receiver in that offense to have on your team because, like you said, it's the consistency, it's the short yardage throws that they're going to eventually they're going to make, not just because Ben's arm's falling apart, but also because the weather gets to be what it is. The offensive line is not strong. As we get through some of these, there are a couple players that I've got ranked fairly high on the basis that they work close to the line of scrimmage and that line is terrible, that kind of thing. Yeah. And so, like T. Higgins, he's going to be one. He's a slant and crossing route, short yardage kind of guy. Great short yardage work. Well, guess what? That line doesn't hold anything. So that's why I think he's the better option over Jamar Chase, even if Chase wasn't dropping everything. So it's the same deal here between Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster. So, yep. All right, so we've got wide receiver 29, Robby Anderson. He's coming in at the 12th pick of the 7th round, 34th wide receiver off the board. We've got him at 29. We like him a little bit better. He's a consistent, solid player year in, year out. Quietly saw a ton of targets last year, guys. He's unlikely in my mind this year, though, to see the same level of targets that he got last season. I don't see that happening primarily because of CMC. He's back, and the passing game is going to work through the backfield to some extent, more than it did last year. It's just the nature of the game. Mike Davis wasn't going to catch as much as Christian McCaffrey, so last year they had to run the passing game through the other guys. I wouldn't discount the fact that it is Sam Darnold throwing the ball to him, and they have history, right? They both played for the Jets, I think, at the same time. Yeah. And so, look, I've got him as a solid wide receiver 3 most likely, but probably mid-level is the best of what you could really hope for. He's probably being drafted right now, in my mind, right where he should be, but he could end up with being a little bit of a value. Like you might actually get a guy who finishes, in the very back wide receiver 2 territory out of him, and you're only paying mid-level wide receiver 3 to get him. So I think there's the potential here that you get a value savings. I think this is an offense that a lot of people are sleeping on other than Christian McCaffrey. There's not a whole lot of talk other than, they're talking about this guy, but that's it, really. There's nobody. DJ Moore. But Robby Anderson has always just quietly put together season after season. It's just, he's not like Brandon Cooks, but it's kind of in that regard where people just aren't paying attention. They're like, oh, it's 1,000-yard season. When that happened?
If he can get close to the amount of targets he had last year, and you get a guy with Sam Darnold's arm compared to Teddy Bridgewater, there could be a possibility of actually them hitting a couple of those down the field passes.
Yep. I think this offense will be a little bit better. I could just see
a really nice play action.
Oh yeah.
Run Christian 3-4 times in a row, and then take a shot down the field with Robby Anderson blowing past.
Yeah, you just gotta. If you got Robby Anderson, you just gotta hope that Christian McCaffrey doesn't, break one of those for a touchdown, because maybe 25% of the time it is possible. It is
I heard
possible.
60% of the time it works every time, Kyle.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know how that math works, but it does. All right, wide receiver 28.
Wide receiver 28, we have Odell Beckham Jr., 5th pick in the 6th round. Wide receiver 26 off the board. We like him just a little bit farther down. It does look like OBJ should be full go to start the season, which is awesome to hear. I think NFL is better whenever he is healthy and he's not running around with all the other antics and everything like that. But I do like OBJ as a football player. So he is being drafted based on pure talent, as this offense is not very friendly to the wide receiver position, but he is, in my opinion, the number 1 wide receiver on this team. So Baker, in my mind, Baker Mayfield did look better towards the end of last year.
By default, he's wide receiver.
It is by default. But, I thought Baker took a nice step forward last year. Without OBJ, he had to roll out with the likes of Rashard Higgins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Jamarcus Bradley, where some of the other wide receivers besides Jarvis Landry. So not a murderer's row of the wide receiver group back behind OBJ and Jarvis Landry. So I think Baker takes that next step, and the Browns open up the passing game just a little bit more. And with the healthy OBJ, he's got a recipe of a nice bounce back year if all those things fall into place. Don't draft him to be your wide receiver 2. Just don't do that. Draft him to be your wide receiver 3, and you should be happy this year, in my opinion. I think this is a year he kind of gets back going, because he is just too dang talented, Kyle. If he can just stay away from the injuries, I think he can get you some good value.
Yeah, I mean that's saying a lot, but
it is.
I think I'm a lot lower on him than you are, if I recall. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
I think I'm actually right around where the ADP is when it comes to. I think I got him right around wide receiver 26.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not been a fan since he's been in Cleveland. It's just not an offense that works that direction in my mind. So, I would agree with you. I would want him as my wide receiver 3 if I'm getting him. But I want to get that value, like that price. All right, let's go to wide receiver 27 for us. It's Kenny Golladay. He's the 11th pick of the 6th round currently, and he's going off the board at wide receiver 28. So we've got him right in the same territory. He's being drafted as a high-end wide receiver 3, probably not really worth much more than that, honestly, right now. There's too many mouths to feed in this offense, and Danny Dimes isn't exactly a glowing scion that you would be hoping for if you ended up with Golladay, right? Just the amazing quarterback that he's supposed to be. Most likely, in my mind, I think he finishes outside of the range of a wide receiver 3 on the season, but that he'll probably throw up a few elite games, wide receiver 1 games over the course of the season, but good luck predicting when those games occur. So that's really where it's kind of tough. I think he's going to be a bit boom or bust in that regard. I think this offense is going to look pretty inept most of the time, and I think that Golladay is going to come across kind of like as a Ferrari being driven in a race with like governors on the engines, right? I just think he's just not going to be used fully like he can, and it's unfortunate. So, I mean, think about it this way: do you think would you rather have your quarterback, if you've got Golladay, would you rather have Stafford as your quarterback or Daniel Jones?
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Here's a question for you. Would you rather have OBJ or Kenny Golladay if you had to? Neither. You can't say neither. You can't say neither.
I would honestly rather have.
This is a tough one for you.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I would rather. They're both banged up all the time. I think I'd rather have. I think I'd rather have Golladay. Now. Yeah, but I think I would rather have Golladay just because I feel like, if you do play him, there will be a lot more opportunities for 2 touchdown games out of him.
A lot more opportunities for like some jump balls and stuff like that, because Kenny Galladay's not a player that really gets a lot of separation. That's not really been his.
I mean,
he's always been the contested catch kind of guy, and from him to go to Matthew Stafford, who could have some pinpoint accuracy and with some speed, to Danny Dimes, he has a strong arm, but he can barely hit a broadside of a freaking barn.
My problem with OBJ boils down to Baker. Baker was more successful in like the second half last year, but he was putting up 1 to 2 touchdowns a game mostly, and that was it. It was mostly yardage.
Well, that's because you ride that you ride him to get you down into the red zone, and then to minimize mistakes is what they wanted to do.
Yeah. So what does that mean for OBJ? Yeah. Whereas Danny Dimes is going to throw the ball a million times. Like he's closer to Jameis Winston than he is to Aaron Rodgers in a lot of respects. So to me, he's just going to be willing to pull and pray and get Kenny Golladay the ball or the opportunity. Just say, hey, man.
Coaching staff, I mean, you guys probably asked for him. You got to pay. We paid up for him.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Wide receiver 26.
Ooh, this might surprise some people, everybody. Marquez Callaway. He's going 5th pick in the 12th round.
I love that he found his way into our rankings.
Oh, I do too, man. Wide receiver 53 off the board. So, yes, we like him a lot more than ADP right now. I think we did this ADP yesterday, so it might have changed already by then. It's a guy, he's definitely no longer one of our favorite sleepers this year. And that's only because he's been on full display. Yeah, but that's why he's no longer a sleeper.
Yeah, but I've been communicating with people through YouTube and other stuff who are saying that they got him with like their last pick in their draft.
Yeah.
And they're in the knowledgeable leagues and stuff. It blows my mind. I mean, that you could still get this guy.
I wouldn't wait to get to like double digits in the rounds. We would draft him earlier than that just to make sure you got him on your team. I mean, Kyle, you definitely hit it on the head when we talked about our most recent sleepers episode. I mean, we recorded that before that last preseason game where he just blew up with Jameis as the quarterback. So he is definitely, Marquez is by far the favorite target by a long shot. of Jameis's. So it makes sense, as Marquez was playing mainly with the twos last year. So that means he was working a lot with Jameis. That made sense. So they were on the practice field together. So he is just a big play waiting to happen. Anytime it gets close, you just launch the ball down the field, man. I also get why Marquez did not make much of an impact last year, because what's the difference between Jameis Winston and Drew Brees? One has an arm that can launch it. The other one is very accurate, but couldn't launch it past 10 yards. So those are the differences right there. Another thing is, who's going to compete with Marquez with targets outside of Kamara? I mean, Michael Thomas is going to miss at least 6 weeks being on the PUP list, and you can't really trust Traquan Smith.
Yeah.
Adam Troutman's already hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I really don't. They're going to throw the ball. That's Sean Payton's DNA. So
there was a guy on the Saints years ago with a very similar name. His initials were also MC. Marcus Colston. Marcus Colston.
Yeah. And
came out of nowhere. And
7th round pick or something like that.
Yeah, huge deep threat consistently. Just a big guy, big target. And I don't know, man. Callaway is just, he's got it. He's got it. So go get him. In our league,
is this your ride or die? This might be your wide receiver ride or die.
I don't know if he's my ride or die, man. But hey, man, I've had some pretty good luck in the last few years. I grabbed Tyreek Hill off the waiver wire when he was a waiver wire guy. I grabbed Devontae Parker a couple of years ago when he blew up. And so I think Callaway is a guy that a lot of people are going to be sleeping on still. They really are. I mean, he did do some of his damage in the preseason against backups, I'm betting. So, a little bit, but he still blew up. Up. All right, here we go. Wide receiver 25 is Jerry Jeudy. He's going 4th pick, 7th round, 31st wide receiver off of the board. Look, with declaration that Teddy Bridgewater is the QB to start this season, you can bank on Jeudy looking better this year in my mind. However, he's going to need to do better on both the catch rate and the drops. Those were 2 issues that he had last year. I think he was like 48% and 12 drops. That's abysmal. Part of that, though, was Drew Lock, because Jerry Jeudy got open a lot. He just didn't get the ball thrown accurately at him. He made defenders look silly, and Drew Lock just was not up to the task. And so it made Jeudy look bad. And as a result, people are kind of sleeping on him this year. They're drafting him as a wide receiver 3, and he's got a more accurate quarterback, right? Bridgewater's going to help Jeudy get closer to his potential, I think, this year. We think that he's going to be closer to a wide receiver 2 this year than most people are guessing, and his ADP represents a savings right now as a result. We think that that's phenomenal value, and so go get Jerry Jeudy. Be surprised. He's going to be a solid wide receiver 1 on that team, and I think he has the potential to put up some really big weeks, I think, this year. So we'll see what he does.
Like you said, if he can take care of that catch rate in the dropsies, I mean, the guy has incredible get off, and his route running is phenomenal. One of the best in the league.
Oh yeah,
and you get a guy that is more of a rhythm passer. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a beautiful recipe right there.
Yeah, I mean, you got a guy who's an accurate route runner who gets separation almost all the time. And you've got a QB who's going to throw it on time to the spot it's supposed to be. Yep. Locke couldn't do that. He just couldn't do that. And I think that the combination between Teddy Bridgewater and Jerry Jeudy is going to be a great thing this year for fantasy purposes, at least. So, yep. So, got anything else to add?
We're good, my brother.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for the wide receiver 3 rankings, for our final run through of our rankings before we resume normal scheduling for the season, right? So
get back to our normal
scheduling. Tomorrow we're going to drop wide receiver 2, so make sure you check that one out. And if you would like to check out our running back rankings, we've done 1 and 2, running back 1 and 2. Those both dropped yesterday and the day before. Check those out. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. We'll talk to you next time, guys. Bye.
See ya.